Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to Them Brothers from Inglewood Podcast. I'm Hoopy, your host, coming with another interesting topic. But before I do, I'm gonna ask if you would like, subscribe, share, ring the notification button so that you'll be alert as to when we're airing a new episode. Well, there are so many interesting things that we can discuss, but I want to talk about something as of late that seems to have eluded many of us. And I want to talk about focus. I know it sounds simple and bland, but really it's a huge 5-letter word because many of us get distracted easily. And so I kind of want to use a couple of things as something to parallel what focus really constitutes as we get further into the discussion. Now, we've seen the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs really go head to head in competition, and many of us who like the New York Knicks are hoping to see that they make history. They have not won a NBA championship in probably 50 some odd years. And so the city is on edge. They're really looking forward to bringing home another NBA championship. But I think what has really transpired is that they really have to stay focused. They have to really lock in and direct the right mental energy towards success, okay? And so focus, when we think of the word itself, it really means to concentrate on something or direct mental energy towards something. Now, specifically, we are dealing with sports competition. We're dealing with a game, right? And many times we lose sight of understanding that sports is a game. And regardless to the category, regardless to the sport, at the end of the day, it's only a game. But look at this. We need focus in everyday life. We need focus in our professional lives, in our careers, and our home life. Mothers need focus when they're nurturing and teaching, developing their children. Men need focus in so many different aspects. So why did I choose this subject of focus? I'm gonna tell you why. Sports is a huge amenity. Sports is a privilege. It's not an obligation. And I know a lot of people are getting paid. These are jobs, real jobs. I'm not taking away from the fact that people actually work in sports. So let's just take sports as a tool or an example as to how we can utilize our focus. Well, I hear a lot of people talk about, Mamba mentality and the way Kobe Bryant approached the game, the way Michael Jordan approached the game, and some of the other greats, how they prepared, what they put into their craft to develop it. And I want to really challenge us to see exactly where our focus is. Now, I believe that distractions will always be here. I believe that they are a huge reason why many of us aren't completing tasks or getting things, down on paper, making proper plans, and then executing these things, because focus is a real discipline. And many people don't look at focus in that way, but it really is. It's a discipline. It is a commitment. It is a regimen. It is something that we have to organize and do, okay? I believe also that a lot of our focus is driven away when we start to involve ourselves with things that are time consuming, things that are out of the realm or scope of what you really need to do. When I was in college, and it started in high school actually, I was pretty decent in elementary and in middle school, but in high school, I became easily distracted in the classroom. A lot of things that I should have been doing and prioritizing, I did not do. And later on in my high school career, it hurt me. It hurt me academically. It hurt me, from the aspect of reaching my potential as a student athlete. A lot of times we concentrate on how great and talented the athlete is, but you have to become a student first and an athlete second. And so I had to learn that later in life, and I still did not succeed in a way to where I was satisfied. May have met some other expectations of others, but it truly did not meet my expectation until really my playing career was over. When my playing career ended, it seemed like I really started to see the importance of taking care of my academic responsibilities. So distractions will always come, and they come in a variety of ways. Sometimes we get into associations, affiliations, even relationships that will take us away from the task or take us away from our initial plan. And then there are times when we don't have a plan. We're just functioning, we're operating, we're just doing, we're going and going, but we really don't have an end goal. And many of you can relate to when you were actually one of those persons that was doing and you were functioning, but a lot of things weren't really being accomplished. And I think that's the premise that we need to stand on today and encourage our youth, encourage our young adults, even those that are middle-aged that are still trying to figure it out. I recently was confronted with some things that challenged me in a big way. I mean, it became overwhelming, devastating, for lack of better words, because what wasn't taken care of prior ended up piling on, and it was like a grenade. It just blew up, because I didn't handle some of those things early enough to where now I'm confronted with everything at one time. Well, a lot of times that has to do with failing to prioritize. It also has something to do with not having a plan and not being able to execute that plan. And then there are times when you just allow any and everything to pull you away from what you need to do. And so I believe that moving forward, if we're going to be successful in business, in relationships, in our careers, in everything that we do, we're going to have to gain focus. There is something else I would like to point out. When I was watching the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs, I saw how the energy was. I saw the fan base. I saw the actual athletes who were competing. I looked at the coaches. I looked at the energy that was in those arenas. Well, obviously, the first two games were in San Antonio, so of course normally the home team gets the edge, but that perspective changed drastically when the New York Knicks went into San Antonio and actually won 2 games. Now, we know that on the other night, they lost in the Madison Square Garden, and a lot of people were shocked. The wind just went out of their sails. It was almost like, wow, this was not supposed to happen. We're supposed to just win 4 straight. And I know that is in a perfect world that you can just go in there and win the series. But what am I saying? I don't think the New York Knicks lost their focus. I don't think that the fan base lost their focus. They could have been unrealistic, believing that New York Knicks are good enough to just sweep this San Antonio Spurs team. However, everybody on the New York Knicks side was disappointed. But it was a gallant effort. It was a close game. It was evenly fought, and the better team won that night. So, focus has a lot of components to it. It has a lot of moving pieces. When I think of my focus, I think of my commitment, my determination, my dedication. I think of having a plan of action and how to execute that plan. I look at a timetable. Am I giving myself ample time to complete a task? Is there a time frame or time limit as to when this task is to be completed? I now survey and evaluate the things that I commit myself to simply because I want to be successful. I want to succeed. And this brings me to a high point in my life and in my career to where I don't want to have to backtrack. I don't want to have to go back and redo things that should have been done the first time around. I've tried to institute this concept and principle to my own children, especially early in their youth. I was trying to help them understand that if you get things done the first time around, then those things won't resurface and you have to redo all over again. Sometimes, I put it in a way to where I would tell my children, well, look, if you take care of what you need to take care of, before you get home from school, then when you get home from school, you just have to do your homework, and then you can go out and play and do what you need to do with your friends or your siblings, whatever the case may be. But if you don't do what you are supposed to do, those things are undone. Therefore, your mom and I are going to ask you to complete those assignments before you go out and have fun. Now, of course, schoolwork comes first, so you're going to have to do your homework, so on, and then you're going to have to get to your chores. And I understood that principle in my youth, but it didn't translate all the time because I wanted to do what was fun for me. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, even though I had these other responsibilities. And so focus is a very key thing that we all need to develop. And even today, as a full-grown man, as they would say, as a whole man, I want to develop realistic goals and accomplish them one by one. I'm not a great multitasker. I know a lot of people are. A lot of men claim that they are, and some men are. They're more efficient in multitasking than other men. I don't think that we're just wired this way administratively. However, we learn to do multiple things at once because we've been taught and we condition ourselves to do so. But I believe women, and I'm not being biased, I'm not, putting down anyone by gender. I'm just saying that women are noticeably administrative and they're able to do multiplicity, of things. They can really get some things done. If you think about the days of old, you always saw in the commercials, you saw this beautiful housewife in an apron, in a kitchen, cooking, holding a baby, and nursing another child that's sitting at the table in a high chair, and she's also on the phone, and she's doing a multiplicity of things, and she's getting it done. And what happens is a lot of times we don't know how to compartmentalize most things in order to prioritize those things. So I wanted to really speak to the realization of focus and how important focus is. I'm also at a place in my life to where I want to have laser focus. So I'm conditioning myself through the tasks that I have, the assignments, the responsibilities that I have, and I'm really trying to simplify things so that I can actually get them completed. And I think with this mindset, it comes sacrifice. Many of us, we don't want to sacrifice anything. We want to be outside. We want to go to all the events. We want to enjoy ourselves. And as most women would say, I want to enjoy my best life, right? And so it's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you take care of business and you do the right things, you can enjoy yourself at your leisure, really as often as you would like to. But I think when you're having things and they're undone, it really weighs on your conscience. It weighs on your heart, and it becomes a burden over time because you know those things are not completed. And I'm not talking about getting rich and having lots and lots of money and materials. That's wonderful. I applaud you. I want you to win. I don't want to see anyone lose. I want to see everybody win. Let's just win the right way. I tell people that all the time. I don't hate on anybody. I'm not envious and jealous of anyone. I want to see everybody win, but let's win the right way. What I mean is, don't be going out here stealing and taking things and manipulating people and breaking the laws and hurting people just to have something. That's what I mean by winning the right way. And so with that, I'm going to end this episode by simply saying that as a suggestion, let's prioritize and let's gain focus to where we can truly see ourselves improving and accomplishing, achieving, and doing the things that's going to set us up in the long run. And this message is good for seniors, middle-aged, young adults, and adolescents. And I believe that this is the proper suggestion to all of us, that we would gain the proper focus and prioritize what is important to us. And that's not being selfish. That's actually being realistic. What is important to you? How does that look? Is there a time frame? How do we go about accomplishing those things? So thank you for putting suggestions in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing our platform with others, encouraging them to follow along and give us some feedback. We want to improve this channel. We want to monetize it. We want to get to a place to where we are being of a good service, and that you and so many others will benefit from the content that we are sharing from this particular platform. So I'm going to ask if you would like, subscribe, share, ring the notification button so that you'll be abreast as to when we're airing fresh and new episodes. I'm Hoopy again, your host, that brother from Inglewood, signing off once again. Talk to you soon. Peace.